Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, welcome back, y'all. Yes, it's so interesting because I feel like getting back used to video. This is literally only the second one that I've done in like over a year. And it's like, maybe I should go back and watch my old episodes to even know how I used to start this show, because it just feels like, what do I say? How do I start? Whatever. But y'all, thanks for tuning in. Welcome back. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So this week, what I really want to focus on is just this misconception of you, I, whoever this applies to, being too much, right? And how this kind of came about is I've just had a lot of stuff that has happened in the past like few weeks, as far as just different trials that my family has had to navigate, or that I personally have had to navigate. And with that, I've thought a lot about like what I've needed to be supported in these past couple weeks. And the thing about it is, what I need, I get, right? And I do start feeling like, oh man, this is too much. I'm too much. I'm doing too much sometimes, right? But the reality is that our people, whoever they may be, we are not going to be too much for them. And I think where we get into this lie of believing that we are too much is because we are around the wrong people. We are around people, friendships, so relationships, even jobs, or just communities that we're a part of. We could be a part of the wrong church. It could be whatever. But when we're around people that are not like our people, they are going to make us feel like we are too much. They are going to make us feel like we need to shrink back who we were created to be. And what I've really just been thinking about, because y'all that know that, tune in, I think I reflect on life. And this episode isn't like inspired by, oh, I have negative community, or, I have people that made me feel too much. It's actually the opposite. I'm at a point in my life where everyone that I interact with on a regular basis, and I'm telling you, this has proven so true since my dad died. And recently I was sitting with a friend and we were talking, and I was just kind of giving her like, hey, this is what's happened in the last week and a half or whatever. And then one of the things that I usually like to do is move past things like, okay, what do I need to learn? What do I need to whatever? And one of the things that she said to me was like, you had all these things happen in such a short amount of time. I think it's okay for you to just sit with it and not try to figure out what's next. I think it's okay for you to just be angry, because I was there. It's okay for you to feel whatever you're feeling. And she's like, and you don't have to try to like figure it out and try to whatever. And it's kind of like, you're right. You know what I mean? But I've been around so many different people that will try to tell me how I should feel, and they want me to feel better and whatever. And it's like, in that moment where like a lot of things happen in such a short amount of time, that wasn't what was needed, right? And so I'm at this point in my life where I've had so many trials and a lot of death. That has been a big theme the past, I don't know, my dad died in July, so however many months ago. Since his death, there's been so many people that have died, and it's like every other month or whatever. And then regular life on top of that, and financial stress, and just all these little dumb things that happen, right? And so with that, there have been people that have the ways that they've supported me have just been amazing. Like I had, like I said, a really rough few weeks. And at the beginning of that, there just got this point where I took the day off of work, which that's huge because I'm usually somebody that I'll just try to press through. Called my boss on Sunday night. So like we do work Sundays because I work for a church, but typically I'm not going to call him Sunday night and be like, hey, tomorrow. I've never done this, but I was like, hey, I need to take tomorrow off because of these reasons. And he was just like, okay. And the reason that I knew to do that is because we had a conversation when I was struggling at a different point. And one of the things he said to me, because it's like, he's my boss, but then because it's like, we work at a church. So like I would know him and his wife, whether I worked there or not, just because I go to this church, but I'm also friends with, him and his wife. So there's this interesting dynamic of, I absolutely respect you as my boss, but you're also my friend. And I know that you and your wife like genuinely love and care about me, just like I genuinely love and care about them and their daughter. And so with that, one of the things that he said to me recently is that one of the things he's noticed is that like, I will believe the lie that he cares more about my performance than he actually cares about me. And so ever since he said that, that has just stuck with me because for whatever reason that was true, not because of anything that he did, but just that's the lie that I was believing, right? And so with that, yeah, I called him on Sunday night. I was like, hey, I need to take tomorrow off. I did. People text me about work stuff because it wasn't anything that I announced. I only literally told my immediate team, like, hey, I'm taking today off, so, nobody bugged me. But there were people that didn't know that text me about work stuff. I did not respond because it's like I'm off. Normally, I would be like, hey, I'm off. I'll get to it tomorrow. No, I'm off. So that means I'm off. And it was literally the best thing that I did. That was when I had to learn how to edit video in a new way because I'm not using the systems I was using before, even to record. So I had to like learn how to do that. So I took part of that day off to do that. For me, that's not work. For me, like creating and stuff like that, that's like self-care. So like for me, that was good. And then I literally spent the rest of the day just watching TV. You know what I mean? Like binge watching. I think I binge watched Abbott Elementary that day. And Kayliana, when she saw me sitting in my office, she was like, I thought you were taking today off. And I was like, I am. I'm not doing work. I'm, editing a podcast. And she was like, do you ever just not do anything? Like, do you ever just really I don't know, take a nap or whatever? And I typically don't. Like, it's usually if I'm sick or if I'm really, really going through, like, it was tough. And then there was anger that I was feeling. And it's really interesting, though, because with that, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the next day, and she's just like, hey, I love you. How can I be supporting you? And I never know how to answer that question when people ask me that. And I get asked that, especially like, after somebody dies or you go through something really tragic. That is what people, ask. And I never know how to answer that. And so, though, I also know my natural bent when I am going through a lot is to want to isolate. So it was healthy for me to take that day to myself on Monday. Didn't really engage in any text messages, any of that. But I also live with Kayliana, so I'm not like completely by myself, you know what I mean? And that was healthy, but when it gets to be a point of you're trying to push people away and not be engaged in the normal things that you want to engage in, and I will naturally go towards that when I'm going through stuff that I feel like is too much for me. And this is where it doesn't make sense, because it's like, if it's too much for me, why am I trying to bear it by myself? You know what I mean? But with that, took the day off Monday, talked to a friend Tuesday, and she was like asking me how she could support. And I'm like, it's funny because I wasn't saying this to her for her to do what she did. I was just speaking generally. So at first I started to say, I don't know. But then I started thinking about how I really was feeling that day. And I was like, just feeling so angry. Just that was and it's always angry because of something, right? Because anger is a masking emotion. But I was just feeling really angry. And I was just like, man, you know what? It'd be so dope to go to a smash house because I just have so much anger in me that I just feel like just breaking a bunch of stuff would like help with that, right? And so a little bit of time goes by and she's like, what are you doing tomorrow? And so I'm not putting two and two together because we ask each other stuff like that, and so I'm just like, nothing, because we didn't have any evening events. I was like, I'm just glad that we don't have any evening events. And she's like, okay, well, I booked us a smash room. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, check your calendar invite, which whenever we're going to hang out, she always sends me a calendar invite, which, listen, if it's not on my calendar, it's not going to happen. So I love that. And y'all, we went to a smash house and it was 20 minutes of just breaking glass. Somebody was playing, Kendrick Lamar in the background and we couldn't get my phone connected to the Bluetooth speaker. So I'm like, we could just go with that, right? And they had a song on repeat. It was just so funny. But with that, I felt so just like there was just this release of just all the rage that I had in me just was gone because I got it out in a healthier way. Like, and admit that it was there, first of all, like that was healthy. But then to like be able to just break up a bunch of stuff and, it was just kind of funny, the things I was saying and, whatever. And then we went to dinner after that. And if I'm honest, it could be that. It could be the quality time because that's one of my love languages. But there's just something about that. But really what I actually think it is I had a need. And it was a need that I would have never asked her to do that, right? That seems like a lot, you know what I mean? It wasn't too much for her, right? And I think about all the things that I've needed. Like the next day we had staff meeting. It's called staff gathering, but it's basically like one of our only in-person meeting days of the week outside of like church or a church event. And when I got there, somebody else, she like just, we started with worship. And so they have worship going and somebody came up to me and like hugged me and was just praying over me. And then that just gave me the freedom to feel like I just needed to cry. You know what I mean? Because there's that release too of just getting out the emotions. And so those two things combined really help to pivot the rest of my week. But here's the thing. Had I have thought, oh, I'm too much, right? Had I believed that lie, had I have continued to isolate, I wouldn't have got any of that because I wouldn't have got to go to the smash house with that, which that definitely helped. Like getting out the anger definitely helped. But then there's the other side of it where there's the sadness and there's the grieving and there's the other emotions that were involved that needed to be released in a different way, right? But I honestly think if I hadn't gotten rid of the anger first, because like I just said, anger is a masking emotion. So if I hadn't got rid of that first, then I don't think I would have been able to have that other emotional release that was needed as well. And so as I have kind of gone through that and even just the continued support that I've gotten since that, and even just me being in a space where like I've had different, environments I was in or people I've been around in the past where it's like things about me that are like, I'm a really deep thinker and everything, like I can literally make going poop. I feel like I've said this on the show before, but I could literally make poop, like going poop, seem like this just deep thing because it's like, you're removing the waste from your body and, it's very toxic if you don't go poop, right? Much like with emotional doo-doo, if you don't get rid of that, that is very toxic and you will feel way down and you will start to have emotional issues just like you would have health issues if you didn't go poop. So like that's how I roll with like everything. It's just how I'm wired, and it is what it is. But it's something that doesn't hurt anyone, right? So when you have character traits that are not something that hurts anyone, and they're not harming anyone, and they're just how you are, when you have those people that, they try to sneak this, or, make little jokes, or, you dragging it out or whatever, those just are not your people. Like, it's not that you're dragging it out or you're doing too much. It's that you're just not around the people that are going to celebrate who you are, right? And so, I see a lot of people that it's unfortunate. I am very, very, very blessed to have an amazing community of people because, one, the thing about working at a church is that I would go there regardless. I've been going to this church for like almost 12 years, and I've only actually worked and been on staff for a little over a year. So like, clearly this is where I'm going to be regardless, right? But with that, it's that I get the beauty of the community of my coworkers, and and I don't even know if that's the right term, because not everybody is paid staff. Like, we are a volunteer-led organization where there are a lot of, directors and leaders that are not like on staff as you would traditionally think of with a job, right? So I'm very fortunate. Good Lord, I'm struggling. I am very fortunate to have people that I'm surrounded with that I work with. We'll just say it like that, right? And not just my area. I'm a part of the creative team, but then there's the different departments that we're all in this together, right? And creative serves every area. So like, I'm going to interact with everybody regardless. But then we have things like staff gathering and just different things. But then we also have church and other events where like we're going to be together. But then I get the beauty of the people that go to the church, and they may not be serving, but they see me, or, we interact for whatever reasons, especially when I get to like recruit people for either photo shoots or some of our video shoots, like getting to interact with those people. Then it's like, oh, now this is somebody else that I know, right? So I get that community. And then also my gym community, which there are people who go to my church, who go to my gym. So I remember one day, and I'm trying to think if it was related to my dad or something else, but I remember one day I was at the gym, and I'll have breakdowns at the gym. It was kind of wild at first. I've only had one, actually two. We'll say one. I don't know if the second one was one, but I've only had one panic attack in life. I didn't even know what it was. And the first time was at the gym, right? And it's not because of the workout. What I've learned is because you are like, it's a situation where you're solely focused on just yourself, right? All you're focusing on is this workout. And there's just something about that physically pushing yourself that breaks down the emotional walls that I'll have up, and that I'm trying to like be strong and whatever. And man, yeah, I've had tons of breakdowns, but then even really break through, crying at the gym. Sometimes I haven't finished a workout because I started crying. And then other times it's like after the fact. But nevertheless, that community is, beautiful as well. And so I'm very, very fortunate in that way. And that's why I know that I know that I know that I know I haven't always been that fortunate. I haven't always had that community. I haven't always had people around me that, that really just truly accepted me for me and all the, imperfections and perfections and all that. I've been around people that weren't really my people. And now that I'm around people that are my people, it's interesting because there had to be a lot of healing that happened first prior to getting around this community. And even part of it, just because sometimes we receive things through the lens of our wounds. And when we do that, we can't really fully experience a situation as it truly is. And also, we also sometimes miss out on like the love that someone's trying to give, because we'll feel like, kind of leery when we don't need to, right? And so I've had a while of really having to work through a lot of, friendships wounds, not like relationship wounds from dating, but literally just friendship wounds, or wounds from like different, past jobs or just whatever. I've had to work through a lot of that. And then with that, that's how I know that like you're not too much. Like that's why I can confidently say you're not too much. I'm not too much. It's just you're not around the right people. And once you get around the right people, man, you will not feel like you need to be this watered down version of yourself. Because the reality is that there are people who everything about you, how passionate you are about different things, how deeply you think about different things, even the way that you word and articulate yourself, that maybe other people really didn't understand and you felt like you had to like over explain yourself. There are people that the way you articulate yourself is exactly what they need to speak to whatever it is that, the topic that you're talking about. And if you're going around as a watered down version of yourself, really shame on you, because you're hindering those people from getting to experience how dope you are. So that is what I have for y'all this week. As always, man, make sure you are taking care of yourself mentally. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself emotionally, spiritually, physically. Be healthy in your relationships. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love y'all so much, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for